Warning: this video contains language and subjective views not suitable for all viewers. Please exit the video if you cannot tolerate a viewpoint different from your own. Thank you and enjoy.
Well, if you're seeing this, I'm probably dead. Hey, good to see you, man.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Elton, we're not telling you why.
So Charlie Kirk, bastion of free speech and the marketplace of ideas, cut off my ticket. So what I'm going to be doing is infiltrating as a Trump supporter. So I just acted confused and said, I don't know what happened with my ticket, but I'd like to buy another one, and got right in. They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie. He's dead. God help him. Safety team is here. Just heard them say active shooter Charlie Kirk has been shot. Charlie.
By the way, just one other conspiracy theory I just want to snuff out here. One of our dear friends that literally from the very beginning started with us and loved Charlie like a brother, he grabbed the SD cards out of the camera afterwards. And there's all these conspiracy videos about why did he grab the SD cards? Well, first of all, they're in the possession of the FBI. Okay. It's not like he took them and like ran off with them. Second of all, I asked him personally, I said, why did you do that? And he looked at me and this was his answer. He said, because I know people can be evil. And he did not want that footage being grabbed by somebody. There was videos of people after the incident going and stealing hats off the table. I mean, so I'm so grateful he did that, and that was his instinct. He's like, I'm depressed to know that was why I did that, but I knew that I had to protect that footage because I wanted, I mean, you know, you're recording in like 4K, you know?
We have an episode of Candace Today titled Charlie's Angels or Demons. Disturbing footage emerges. She raises suspicion about Mikey McCoy, who is Charlie's chief of staff, acting strangely on the phone at the precise moment Charlie took the hit. I'll give you my raw observation. Mikey has a phone in his right hand. As soon as a shot goes out, he lifts his right hand, he lifts his left hand, he bends at both arms, then he immediately turns and goes in a direction. But from this vantage point, it was statistically not very likely that blood would splatter over this distance of about 5 feet laterally from a puncture wound that was in the anterior frontal portion of the neck. T.ruth provided an update though from Turning Point's show. So Andrew Colbert states that Mikey was in fact on the phone doing recording for social videos, and that when the shot happened, he put his hands over his ears with the phone still in his hand. So ranked is again, that is what appears to be the case. Because he was spotted fleeing behind the tent, appearing like this, it was thought that he was on the phone. And the right arm doesn't appear to be lifted at that point, the left arm does. We know the phone was in his right arm. So I'm going to scrub through this footage. You see the left hand going to the ear. It's now holding the phone, and you can't really see the right, but you don't see the arm swinging. So you have to presume that it's also doing the same thing. You do sort of see this right here, so this is probably the other arm. Because you don't see the phone itself, you can't definitively say that he's on the phone. So with that key moment over here, you see one arm, then the other arm go up to the head, he turns around, begins walking away.
I'm looking at my son who's 24 years old. Justin's the CFO, chief financial officer, and Mikey's the chief of staff. And I'm watching, the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck. Please call every pastor and pray. It's okay, son. He has wits about him. He was just directing. He had blood all over him.
He puts his phone to his ear and he begins a conversation. So we're going to watch that clip in its entirety. Mark is going to bring it in.
We just don't know for sure if he's having a conversation when he puts the phone to his ear, because he could be plugging his ear. She makes this point of emphasizing that it's 800 milliseconds.
834 milliseconds from the time that you hear the shot. That is how long it takes for Mikey McCoy to put the phone to his ear. Now, why is that precise timing so important? Because there's no dialing.
Right, so it can be explained. And I think her argument would have been strengthened just to acknowledge that he could have just reflexively decided to plug his ear. It just comes off as being like overly suspicious. She shows additional footage illustrating her argument with Mikey still with his arms to his head a distance away. I'm showing that here, slowing it down, going forwards and backwards. Still, from this angle, you can't definitively say he's on the phone, just that he's in that position.
For his ear again. Now, could be unrelated. Again, we're taking a guess here. That's what made the most sense to us because we couldn't justify it in any other way.
So here is the phone. I'm going to scroll through. You can see that he lifts the phone to his right ear and he plugs up his left ear.
Mikey's on his phone here, and you can see he pulls it up and he starts to cover his ear again.
And then Candace says this.
And I want to be clear, we're not here to make assumptions, okay? And we wouldn't have to make any assumptions if
The problem with that is just, you do the size of her account, just putting it out there that he put the phone to his ear at 0.8 of a second to do a phone call. It's going to cause a lot of people to make assumptions. And I should be clear with my stance. I do acknowledge it's strange for a person to immediately think to cover one's ear when the fight or flight response kicks in because of a gunshot and you're known to evade the area. But she justifies her position by saying that when she requested comment from Turnpoint USA following happened.
And I saw clips going viral, and people were drawing conclusions from that clip, thinking that I was already on the phone, thinking that my reaction was weird. I would instantly hit back. I'd say, here's my call log. You wanna know who I was on the phone with? 911, obviously. I was freaking out. I called 911. I didn't know what I was doing. Here's my phone. Here's my whole call log for that day.
And so the evasiveness of them could be due to the stigma that she's generating.
Here's what I've come to believe. Courage is hope in action.
Let me tell you who the heroes were in this whole thing. We're going to start with 23-year-old Mikey McCoy. And that's when the great Mikey McCoy showed up.
And my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy.
My friend Mikey McCoy, the brilliant 24-year-old who at the time when Charlie was shot was...
Here's what I've come to believe. Courage is hope in action.
Let me tell you who the heroes were in this whole thing. We're going to start with 23-year-old Mikey McCoy. And that's when the great Mikey McCoy showed up.
And my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy.
My friend Mikey McCoy, the brilliant 24-year-old who at the time when Charlie was shot was 23 and was a hero that day.
I used to be known as Charlie Kirk's pastor, now I'm known as Mikey McCoy's dad.
He clicked into gear eventually. It was amazing.
Mikey was a heroic figure on that day. Step outside, I automatically check rooftops to see if there's a sniper, because that's something I have to live with for the rest of my life. Or when you go to an event, you ask them how good the security is.
You guys see what happened?
I saw him. What's going on?
Yes, you're live right now. Well, we're recording. I don't know if we're live because of the cell service. Hang on.
Probably the third. Okay. I was standing from probably the third row in the bottom. I saw him. I heard the shot ring out. I looked to my left, and then I looked over to my right. I saw him slump over in his chair forward. He slumped over. He had blood coming from the left side of his neck down his shirt, and he slumped over and he was carried off. Get off me! Get off me!
Running high right now.